All right, this update is brought to you by the Jim Petrell Real Estate Team. Kevin Acey this morning reporting that the Padres and Ruben Niebla have agreed to a new multi-year deal that will have Ruben Niebla remain the team's pitching coach for multiple seasons. San Diego State takes on New Mexico tonight at Snapdragon Stadium, 7:30 kickoff, 5:30 pregame right here on San Diego Sports 760. NFL news of the day: Cowboys officially placed Dak Prescott on the IR with a hamstring injury, and Christian McCaffrey will officially make his season debut for the Niners this Sunday on the road versus the Bucks. Would you like to know what your home would sell for today? Get a simple text message with your home's value by texting your address to 855-600-6000. You'll get no phone call, just a text. Jim Petrell has the buyer. Simply text your address to 855-600-6000.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour one. Oh, my gosh. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. This show's over.
Done.
I'm done with this show.
See you guys next week.
Jim has already sneezed. We were only 8 seconds. I don't know if we hit the 8-second mark of the actual show. You made it through the update. We are here until 5:30, as Jim said, because we have Aztec football tonight. Me and Rich will be on the call. Ben Fletcher, J.R. Tolver have pregame coverage. We have good giveaways for you. We have Aztec basketball tickets for Tuesday night men's basketball. We'll give away 2 pairs of tickets between now and 5:30. We'll get into this weekend in the NFL with Cynthia Freeland from the NFL Network at 4 p.m. We have Paul Garrison, who covers the Aztecs for the East Village Times. He'll join us at 4:30. You mentioned it in the update. It is encouraging news, and I give A.J. Preller credit because last offseason was murky with the coaching staff and the manager position, and they've secured Mike Schilt for multiple years. He will get at least a 2-year extension, at least through 2026, as reported by Kevin Acey, Padres insider. It's very encouraging. You could argue it's just as important as Mike Schilt, considering what Ruben Niebla has meant the last 3 years.
Never in doubt. That's how I viewed it.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I honestly wasn't worried one bit.
Right.
There wasn't a single part of me that was thinking, "Oh no, what if he leaves to another team?" Or, "Oh no, what if another team that needs a manager still," or whatever. I don't even know if there's a team that needs a manager right now, but is there a team out there that could potentially go and swoop him up? And I'm thinking to myself, that's not going to happen, especially after hearing from AJ and from Mike Schilt yesterday, or when was it? Yesterday or 2 days ago? I forget when it was.
Was it yesterday?
It was 2 days ago? It was Wednesday.
2 days ago.
Yeah, 2 days ago. Today's Friday?
Yeah. It was 2 days ago.
After hearing them speak, and even before that, I'm just like, I got no worries about them making sure that Ruben Niebla, Mike Schilt, Victor Rodriguez, and the rest of the coaching staff was going to stay intact. It was a matter of when, not if.
But remember we read into this when Preller said, I want to reward those that have done good work. I thought the reward word was saying multiple years. It's one thing to be retained. It's another thing to have security. It's hard in the coaching business. It's harder than the manager business, which is hard.
Yeah.
The average manager today in baseball is not getting 3 years.
No.
The average coach is in that 1 to 2 year range, and the average San Diego coach on this staff under A.J. Preller gets a year. Look at the turnover. Dennis Lin reported on this about 12 months ago. They've had as much coaching turnover. I'm not talking about manager. They've had as much coaching turnover as anyone in the sport over the last decade. Not now. Maybe they've learned their lesson. Maybe they're doing it because they won 93 games last year. Maybe they also realize this, Jim. They got to squeeze a lot out of the 2025 team if payroll is going to be once again concerning. Like, they got to have the right pieces in place to get the right amount out of this team, knowing that the coaching staff is the last of their issues. The first of their issues might be, how do we put this roster together? Considering and we've talked a lot about this, but I think retaining the coaching staff and keeping some of these guys for multiple years. Shoot, Ruben Niebla could be here 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. Who knows?
Yeah.
That is a big win for an organization that's had so much turnover.
Well, look how long Glenn Hoffman was here for, right? He made it through multiple managers.
Right.
You know, like you see a lot of times in organizations, they change the managers a lot, but they have the same pitching coach for a long time or the same hitting coach for a long time. And I think that's what we're going to see here with Ruben Niebla, is that he's going to be here for a long, long time. And I think that's what the Padres would prefer because of how he has helped his pitching staff. And you just see it day in and day out, how respected he is, how when someone's struggling and then they turn a corner, who's like one of the first people they credit? It's Ruben Niebla.
Sure. Yeah.
So, if Mike Schilt in the future, right? Something happens with Mike Schilt, they let him go or he gets fired, whatever. I still think they would make a conscious effort to keep Ruben Niebla here for as long as they possibly can.
Yeah, the amazing part of it is, as we've referenced a lot, like the fact that they hired him before the manager really is incredible. And he has the ties to the West Coast. I know his daughter, at least at some point here recently, has been a student at San Diego State, may or may not still be, but it's worked very well. And I think the thing that Niebla has done, and honestly, Preller gets some credit for it as well. Preller has made some under-the-radar signings that have really shined under Ruben Niebla.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them, whether it's starters or relievers. There's multiple examples. The Michael Wakas, the Seth Lugos, the Jeremiah Estradas, and I'm missing a lot of them. So that's a huge asset. Considering the price of starting pitching in baseball, where it's $20+ million per year for a starting pitcher, if you can go out and get someone for 6 or 8 or 10 and then make him a $20 million pitcher, that's why you keep Ruben Niebla. You're saving the organization money, and you're putting the team in a position to win. I know I don't know how you rank pitching coaches in baseball, but he's got to be towards the top of the list, I would think.
I just think because of how they view him, how they went out and got him before they got Bob Melvin.
Yeah, that part of it. Yeah,
that to me, I feel like is the what tells you what you need to know, how they view him. Right. They view him as somebody that is very valuable. So hopefully he stays around for a long time. I know he's got ties in San Diego here. His daughter goes to San Diego State. It just kind of fits. It makes sense. And they rewarded him for sure.
Darren Ballsy, by the way.
Yeah.
You said Glenn Hoffman.
I said Glenn Hoffman. Glenn Hoffman was the third base coach.
Yeah, exactly.
Darren Ballsy,
and I was like, who was it? And he was here for what, 2 decades?
He was, yeah. But Glenn Hoffman was here for a long time.
But not as their pitching coach.
Not as their pitching coach.
Yeah.
I know. I
was like, the second you said it, I'm like, now I need to figure out who
I know. I said it, and then I immediately started looking too. And I was like,
that's
no,
not
I'm
right.
an idiot. It's not right. It's not Glenn Hoffman. It's Darren Ballsy. There you go.
I wonder if anyone else gets multiple years on the staff. Like, does Victor Rodriguez get multiple years off of last year? He's not as tenured as Ruben Niebla here. They didn't go and get his services before they had a manager a few years ago. Does the third base coach get or is it just Ruben Niebla? Is he that important to Mike Schilt that he's the only one that gets multiple years on the staff, or multiple coaches getting multiple years because they won 93 games last year?
I'm going to say
we'll find out soon.
I think that everybody on the coaching staff will return with new contracts of some sort.
Well, they're not going to return without contracts.
No, I know that, but like new contracts, maybe an extension of a year, maybe a bonus, or maybe like a pay raise. Something will get done there for majority of the coaching staff, in my opinion.
I think all, because I don't know how much of the coaching staff, if Niebla wasn't retained beyond 2024, do you think the roving infield coordinator was retained beyond 2024, or Tim Leeper, the third base coach? Like, I don't know if anyone was signed after 2024 other than Mike Schilt on the staff. Maybe Victor Rodriguez, when he came over, got multiple years. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think if there is any changes, we'll hear about them.
Yeah, Kevin said, so in the article from Kevin, by the way, and it could be longer than 2 years for Ruben Niebla. He might be lined up with Mike Schilt and AJ Preller. It could be, or at least Mike Schilt. It could be 3 years. He says there's no terms and there's no contract that they're aware of as of yet, but it's at least a multi-year extension. He also said he expects it to be announced sooner rather than later, which is not a surprise because AJ Preller, when he spoke to the media on Wednesday, said he hoped to have this all finalized within a week, I think. So we'll probably get this officially from the organization by early next week, would be my guess.
I think so.
Yeah, which is, again, a good thing, because after the coaching staff, you turn your attention to the things that are really going to matter, which is formalizing a roster for 2025.
That's what, when you're looking at, I guess, the rundown of things that need to get accomplished, the first thing to get accomplished is make sure the coaching staff stays intact.
Yeah.
Get Mike Schilt a contract extension, get a new contract to Ruben Niebla. That's the things you can accomplish right now. I mean, yes, you can go out and you can sign Jurickson Profile right now if you wanted to.
They
You
could
can sign Ha-Seong Kim if you wanted to. You can sign Juan Soto if they wanted to. They're not going to, but you get my point.
Right.
The coaching staff is, I guess, the easiest thing to get done because it's not going to go out and you're not going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on a coaching staff. And by the way, the coaching staff numbers don't equate to the payroll of the team either. So you can get those things done like that.
Right. So AJ Cassavell, by the way, saying they're close to finalizing the entire staff.
Yeah.
He's also reporting multiple years. What's interesting here that also Cassavell was kind of writing about today is another reliever to starter transition in the works for the Padres. Like we've seen this before, right? Like we saw Seth Lugo, right? At one point was a reliever. They turned him into a starter. Michael King, truthfully, spent a lot of time as a reliever before he was turned into a starter. Are they looking to go down that same path with either potential members of their, internal candidates, someone like Adrian Morejon, who's been a starter previously, but has kind of excelled as a reliever? Are they going to go outside in free agency and find someone that was a reliever in 2024 and turn them into a starter? I actually think this will happen because they don't have the money otherwise. They don't have the money to go out and say, oh, last year you threw 175 innings. Oh, we want you for $7 million. No, they need to find a guy that threw 85 innings last year, give him $8 million, and probably turn him into a starter. It seems like Niebla and the Padres have had success with that recently. Lugo, King, who's next? Reliever to starter for the Padres? Because they're not going to buy a starter at market rate. There's not going to be a $20 million starter coming in.
Can they turn just one of Brito, Vasquez, Waldron into a 160 inning guy?
It's a good question. I mean, Waldron had his nice 15 start run.
He's a guy that he can give you some good spot starts, but to rely on him for a full season and into a postseason, no.
That's a really good question.
No.
Or we said this going into this year. Can you turn 3 or 4 internal options into a fifth starter? This guy gets 15 starts. Mm-hmm. This guy makes 9 starts. It's kind of what they did, right? Vasquez made how many starts? Waldron made how many starts? You add them up. If you added Vasquez's starts with Waldron's starts, you're probably pushing 30 starts maybe made. Between the two, Waldron probably made 20 starts for the team, I would think, last year.
And like Adrian Morejon.
How many innings did Morejon throw last year?
He threw 63 2/3 innings. That was by far the most he's ever thrown his entire career.
Right.
Do you trust him to make a leap to 115, 120 innings?
Not necessarily. I mean, I'm not opposed to the idea of it. How many starts has he made in his major league career?
He has made 9 starts, John.
Yeah, so they did. I mean, he was a starter at one point, but he was always injured.
Always injured.
So I don't know. Do you mess with a good thing? He's coming off a good year. Do you take a guy that was able to stay healthy, that threw 60 innings, and say, double your workload in 2025? We need you to do it. And it comes on the cheap because they have him already internally. I mean, is that part of the plan? Along with Matt Waldron.
It's maybe part of a plan that they're going to have to find something internally on the pitching side to turn into a guy that can give you 115, 120 innings. And hey, Ruben Niebla, we just signed you to a multi-year deal and gave you a little bump in your raise.
Mm-hmm.
That's your job now.
Fix him.
He
doesn't need to be
fixed. Him.
Yeah.
But go out and create something that with what we have. See if you can find the next, a diamond in the rough in our organization. And obviously the scouts and AJ and everybody will be a part of that as well. It's not just all on Ruben Niebla, but whenever they maybe identify somebody and say, all right, we're going to try this, then they hand it off to Ruben to make sure that those players or player becomes what the organization wants them to become.
Or is it both? Internal options like the Morejons and the Waldrons get chances maybe to lock down a spot, or they make a series of starts, but not 30 starts, but you also look externally. I mean, you're going to need real depth. Without Joe Musgrove and knowing how often starting pitchers or pitchers get hurt in general, you can't go in with Yu Darvish and Michael King and then Adrian Morejon and Matt Waldron and Randy Vasquez and Johnny Brito. You're going to need more than that.
Well, yeah, Dylan Cease.
And Dylan Cease would help too.
Yeah.
But even that, I mean, that's really only 3 starters, right? Isn't that 3 starters? King, Cease, Darvish?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're going to need to add some real depth, or you're trusting a lot in guys that haven't proven that they're capable of doing it in the major leagues.
And having Ruben Niebla back is massive.
Yeah, I agree with that.
but it doesn't mean that you all of a sudden now he's going to just turn everybody into a Michael King. You need some talent there. You need something for him to work with. I like Randy Vasquez, a part of this rotation. I don't know about Johnny Brito. He did not have that great of a season last year. Matt Waldron, to me, it's hard when you're just a knuckleball guy.
Right.
Like, I don't know about that. You can be 15 to 20 starts, but you're going to need more than that. So what's in the market right now as far as free agent pitchers go? Not the top end, but more or less like the middle to bottom end, guys that maybe have had good seasons in the past and need some help fixing themselves and reinventing themselves. Go after those guys.
That's who they're going after, as opposed to, again, we said it before, they're not going after Juan Soto. They're going after Jerks and Profar types. If it's Jerks and Profar, they're not going after Blake Snell. What type of pitcher are they going after?
Right.
That's the question for 2025. All right. More on that on the other side. We have Aztec basketball tickets to give away. That's for Tuesday night. Plus, we'll get you ready for tonight at Snapdragon Stadium. A must win for both of these teams to get to bowl eligibility. San Diego State and New Mexico. Cynthia Freeland on the NFL at 4 p.m. Paul Garrison on San Diego State football at 4:30. We're here until 5:30. It's Jon and Jim. All right, hey guys, it is Jon and Jim. It's a great weekend to get out to Hamul Casino. In fact, you should get there throughout the football season, whether it's Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football. It is a great spot, and they've got great promotions for you, specifically every single Monday night at Hamul.
Yeah, with 10 winners every hour at 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and 9 p.m. Your odds are better than ever. Plus, you're going to earn entries all month long by playing and getting two-time entries on Tuesdays with at least $500 in cash for all winners and a chance to win to $25,000 in cash.
Yeah, so huge chances to win big. Great food at Hamul. It's about more than gaming. It's about great food like at Tony Gwynn Sports Pub, which is terrific. Great food and drinks. In addition, they've got Tony Gwynn Sports memorabilia. They have all the televisions to watch all the games. And then they have endless dining at Hamul 5 nights a week. You'll love it, including a Saturday surf and turf buffet. They've gone over the top. Succulent steaks, delectable seafood, and more.
Yeah, Hamul Casino is the place to be. Tony Gwynn Sports Pub. We've talked about it a lot. We've been there. It's a great atmosphere, amazing food. Hamul Casino, it's fun above all else.
All right, San Diego Sports 760 has 13 chances for you to win $1,000 every weekday with the Inflation Vacation. Listen to the nationwide keyword at the top of every hour from 6 a.m. through 6 p.m. Then enter it at sportssd.com. Ruben Niebla has his multi-year deal. Padres wrapping up the GM meetings this week, securing Mike Schilt for multiple years, now through 2027, securing Ruben Niebla for multiple years, locking up the entirety of the coaching staff, it appears. That'll probably be announced at some point next week, and then fully turning their attention, I guess, to this 2025 roster. And we went through it there at the end of the first segment. Cease, King, Darvish sounds really good, right? There's a lot of teams that would take that. That's a lot of wins, hopefully, in 2025. But it drops off from there, and they're not the only team that probably has something comparable to that type of rotation. But it's one thing to have one spot open in a rotation. It's one thing to say, all right, have Matt Waldron and Johnny Brito, fight it out for that fifth spot in the rotation. But to have multiple spots open in your rotation, and it's only November 8th. So we'll see what they do. But to me, that's where it gets a little tricky. With Joe Musgrove, no concern. It's one spot in your rotation. Without Joe Musgrove, it gets a lot trickier and tougher of a putt for me.
So looking at the free agent pitching market,
Snell,
Corbin Burns, Max
perfect.
Fried.
So this is easy. You're right. This is easy. Sign two of those.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
No, I'm looking at like the middle to bottom. The list is not great, but like I said, can you find somebody out there who may have had a good season prior to last year, like maybe a couple years ago, and they may have fallen off a little bit, but they need some help getting back to that form? They won't cost you a lot. And guess what? Boom, we have the pitching guru here in Ruben Niebla to help you out.
Mm-hmm.
Can you find a pitcher that like that on the open market?
Yes.
You can.
Yep.
Absolutely. Looking at the list right now, you have not great. I mean, if you want to go the route of like Alex Wood or, Walker Buehler's a free agent. He had a great postseason, but his regular season was awful. Martin Perez, can you bring back Martin Perez? He did really well for the Padres last year. He wouldn't cost you a lot, but if you put him in a role like a 3 or 4 starter and you need 30 starts out of him, is that going to be too much to ask?
It's exposing. That's a flyer type move. If you can go and get a couple of $1 or $2 million, late career starters to fight it out or have a minor league invite. The problem with minor league invite guys is like it's a hope and a prayer.
Right.
Maybe it works out and a guy has a 3.9 ERA and makes 30 starts and that's incredible. Or maybe he doesn't even make it out of spring training, and then you're left with the same questions, which is who's our fourth starter and who's our fifth starter. Again, and if you have Joe Musgrove, I think there's no concern. I think the rotation is probably one of the better ones in the National League. But without Joe Musgrove, it's very, speaking of the word exposing, that's really exposing. We saw it in the postseason. It would be in the regular season too. A guy like Frankie Montas is a free agent.
Right. Mm-hmm. He had a not a good year last year overall. He was traded to Milwaukee in the middle of the season from Cincinnati, but 32 years old. He's had a couple good seasons in his career. Can you maybe mold him and make him into a good, fourth, fifth starter for you and give you 25 to 30 starts? A guy that Mike Farron mentioned to us when we had him on earlier this week, Shane Bieber.
That's right.
Shane Bieber.
Who didn't even pitch last year, really, right?
If he did, it was limited. He pitched, but it wasn't more than a few starts.
Let me just look up right here.
So you got injury products, reclamation projects.
He had 2 starts last year.
Yep.
There were good starts. He 2 starts. He went 2-0, 12 innings pitched, and he didn't give up a run.
But to go from 12 innings to 140.
Yeah,
that's also the problem. But the point is, there are affordable options. You got to find the right one. This is where you're like scouting and development, or like AJ's lieutenants, so to speak. Like, you got to pick the right ones. You can't waste $8 million.
No,
you can't waste $6.5 million. If you're going to go out and spend the 8, which is completely reasonable and necessary, probably to shore this thing up, you better pick the right guy at $8 million, or maybe it's less than 8. Like, if it's a Martin Perez, I don't know what Martin Perez made last year, but coming off last year, he's not going to make crazy money, obviously.
Well, what they need to do is first figure out the payroll situation. How much money is AJ Preller going to have to go and spend in free agency? Then take that lump sum of money and divide it up. Like, all right, we're going to use X amount for starters to go out and get a starter or two, and then X amount for, filling the positions of need of outfield, bench, catching, shortstop, and then we'll see how much that's going to be. We won't know what it is, but that's going to be a tough task because it's not a big lump sum of money to go fill a lot of holes. You have a great nucleus, a great core.
Mm-hmm.
Can you go out and fill that with not a lot of money?
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
All right, we are here until 5:30. Is it a must-win game tonight for the Aztecs against New Mexico? That's next. Plus Cynthia Freeland from the NFL Network at 4. Plus Paul Garrison on tonight's football game here on San Diego Sports 760 at 4:30. It's Jon and Jim.
All right, this update's brought to you by the Jim Petrell Real Estate Team. We'll start with Padres news of the day. Kevin Acee reported earlier this morning that the Padres and Ruben Niebla have agreed on a multi-year contract that will keep Ruben Niebla here with the Padres for many years to come. San Diego State takes on New Mexico tonight at Snapdragon Stadium. 7:30 kickoff, 5:30 pregame right here on San Diego Sports 760. And NFL news of the day. The Cowboys are placing Dak Prescott on the IR with a hamstring injury, and Christian McCaffrey will officially make his season debut for the Niners this Sunday against the Bucs on the road. If you'd like to know what your home would sell for today, get a simple text message with your home's value by texting your address to 855-600-6000. You'll get no phone call, just a text. Jim Patrol has the buyers. Simply text your address to 855-600-6000.
Oh, San Diego Sports 760, Jim Patrol for Lakers basketball. Sunday, LeBron and the guys travel to the Great White North. You know where that is? Antarctica. To take on the Raptors. We'll go to Toronto. Pregame at 6:15. Tip 6:30 Pacific right here on San Diego Sports 760. Aztecs, New Mexico tonight. You know why I'm concerned? Why? You're always concerned almost. They could be playing with any sport at any point. I'd be concerned. They could play the wine season on the street. They could be playing me and you. But the reason I'm concerned is this opening with San Diego State is a 3-point favorite. Okay. You know, it's as we've said, with these 3 games they've got to get, they're going to be like a slight favorite, which is hard to win 3 games as a slight favorite this year, like 1 game. So, okay, 3-point favorite. And then during the week, it's down to 2.5. And then today, I noticed there's a 2. I'm like, okay. It's at 1.5. Okay. So, what are we missing here? All this New Mexico money coming in right now. And the logos on this Friday night showdown at Snapdragon. I mean, New Mexico's 3-6. San Diego State's 3-5. New Mexico's one of the best offenses in America. Top 10 total offense, top 10 in points. It must be nice. Now their defense is like bottom 3 in America. So is this the night the offense emerges for Sean Lewis and San Diego State? We've seen it over. We've seen it flashes. We've seen 30 minutes of it. Can they put it together for 60 minutes and score the 35 points that it might take to beat New Mexico, beat scoring team?
I would like to see that. I would like to see more of a complete game from this Aztec team. Put 2 halves together. They've had really good first halves and then bad second halves. They've had really bad first halves and bad second halves. They've had really good quarters. And then obviously the other quarters weren't so great. But can they put together close to a full game here? And if they got to win tonight 42-40, then win 42-40.
That's great. That's what everyone wants. That was the whole thing, right? Everyone wants to win 42-40. Everyone wants shootout. Yeah, everyone wants that.
Yeah. So that's a little scary. It's almost basically now a pick-em game. But this to me tonight feels like a must-win game.
Gotta have it. If you're going to get to a bowl game, the math is simple. Even Jim can do it. They have 4 games left. They need to win 3, and they're playing one of the 4 games at UNLV in Las Vegas, one of the better teams in Group 5. It's certainly the Mountain West. They have had a complete season. They've beaten Kansas this year. They've beaten Houston this year. They have 2 Big 12 wins. UNLV. So that obviously won't be easy, which means the math would suggest you need to beat New Mexico tonight as a slim favorite. You need to win at Utah State, a team that I think only has 2 wins this year. And you need to beat Air Force to wrap up your season at home on Senior Day. And I think Air Force as well has either 1 or 2 wins this year. So there are winnable games in there, but like we've said all along, you got to be perfect in the winnable games. Those coin flip games, you got to win all of them. You got to win 3 straight coin flips potentially.
How important do you think it is to pull this off and win 3 of their final 4 games and get into a bowl game?
That's a great question.
For the future of the program with Sean Lewis at the helm. Because
that is such a good question.
Because, you know, the disappointing season last year, obviously with Brady Hoke, and then getting a new coach in here, a guy that was deemed like the offensive guru guy. Aztec Fast is, you know, the slogan for the team. Everyone was expecting right out of the gate, even though it was, too high of expectations of this team should score 40 points every single game.
Mm-hmm.
They should win every game. 40 points. They should score a bunch of points. And it hasn't happened, but they've had moments. The offense has looked better, but just for going into the future here with Sean Lewis at the helm, that you can say your first year you went to a bowl game. How important do you think that is?
It's a really good question. It's probably not the end all be all. Like, I don't know if you go 6-6 or 5-7 and your offseason is drastically different. It may be. I don't know. It might be. The value might be this. If you go 6-6, you get 15 additional practices. So that might be the value, because then you get 15 practices for your bowl game, and now you're working in these true freshmen and redshirt freshmen and guys that didn't play a lot, and you're giving them 15 practices before spring football. That's probably the value. I don't think it's impactful in recruiting overly. I don't think it's a difference between landing a player or not, 5-7 or 6-6. I guess it could be.
I'm more or less talking about like with the fan base.
I don't know. 70470 start it with team. I mean, are you gonna renew your season tickets if they go 6-6, but not if they go 5-7?
Like, can you give this fan base some hope going forward of like, okay, go in the right direction?
Look at it like this. They went 4-8 last year.
Yeah.
If they win more than 4 games, that would be a step in the right direction. You'd prefer to get to a bowl game. They had 13 straight bowl eligible years. And the truth is they turned over 55 players on the roster, and they're playing Washington State, Oregon State, Boise State all in the same year. So we said it from day one, like their schedule's harder than it was last year. So yes, I think you want to show progress, which means you got to get to 5, hopefully, which is by winning 2 of these last 4. You got to win tonight to give yourself a chance to get to 6. That keeps the dream alive an extra week by winning tonight is what I would say.
Yeah, and that's why tonight's so important. You come out tonight with a loss, it's like it will feel like, okay, what are we playing for here? As far like from a fan base standpoint.
Right, like yeah, that's where New Mexico is. They're 3-6 and they still play Washington State.
Right.
So like, are you going to get to 6-6? You're playing Washington State. They're really good.
Yeah.
You know, you got to win 3 straight. You're 3-6. That's hard.
And the path is there for San Diego State.
Yeah.
Like it would have been nice if they could have pulled off that Central Michigan win. Right. Probably never going to pull off a win at Boise State. Home, it would have been nice if they pulled off the Washington State win, because then you have a little wiggle room.
It's true. I mean, Washington State led by 12 in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, that was a heartbreaker.
Central Michigan was also,
yeah.
You led with the ball late, but then again, you overcame 4th quarter deficits in both the Hawaii and Wyoming games. Both of the games you trailed by a touchdown in the 4th quarter and won those games. So like, does that even out in the laundry? You could have lost Wyoming or Hawaii. You could have won Washington State or CMU.
I only look at it from a standpoint of if you blow the game, I don't care about the games that you came back.
So right.
I only look at it from the standpoint of if you blow a game, then that's the win that I say was lost.
I'm excited to see the offense tonight against New Mexico's defense. I'm excited to see 8 games of progress hopefully come together tonight. Like, I think that's at least a possibility. It's not a guarantee. It's football. Things happen. Turn the ball over. You get into the red zone and settle for field goals or miss field goals. Like, there's no guarantee tonight to the 42-point night. It's positioned to be the good scoring night. When you look at New Mexico's metrics, they're not good defensively. That's just a fact. Their metrics offensively are great. They've had a bad defense and a good offense. That supports the argument that San Diego State could have its best offensive game of the night. It seems like that can happen. I want to see it come together tonight for Danny O'Neal, for Sean Lewis, right? It feels like tonight you kind of put the thing together on offense. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's enough for a win, because New Mexico's offense has been elite. But I think if you score 35-plus points with San Diego State's defense, that should be enough.
I hope so, because the defense has played well at times this year.
Yeah.
Really well at times.
Yep.
Like, they were holding their own against Washington State until the end there. Washington State's a team that could easily put up, 50 on the board.
Yeah. Really good offense.
Boise, that was a little bit of an issue, but it's expected. You're on the road at Boise, a team that right now the season ended is in the college football playoff. They have a Heisman hopeful.
Timeout, 30-second timeout. They're not in the college football playoff, but I like what maybe in the conversation.
Boise?
Oh, you said Wazoo, I thought.
I said Boise.
Run back the tape. Okay.
I said
Boise. Okay, Boise's in the college football playoff.
Yeah, I was talking about Washington State. They held their own, a team that could put up 50.
And then Boise's in the college
and then
football.
Boise on the road.
Yep.
Tough.
But those are the top 2, quote-unquote, group of 5.
Yeah.
Looking for a college football playoff spot.
And it's a bummer, because that Washington State game was going to be the signature win of the Sean Lewis era so far at San Diego State.
Definitely. Yeah.
But, didn't happen. So now
go win 3 of the last 4 to get to 6.
And everything that we've talked about before that Washington State game has played out. Like, okay, Washington State, they're going to be underdogs. Boise State, they're going to be underdogs. New Mexico, they're going to be favored. Air Force, they're going to be favored. And UNLV, they're going to be underdogs. Like, they got to just run chalk here, and you're 6-6. So now that's why tonight's the most important, because you're favored.
Yep.
You need to go out and get a win.
At home.
And you're at home. You can't slip up here, because if you slip up, it's that bowl game. Goodbye.
No, this is an important game. I completely agree with you. And to get to a bowl game, which would be a really nice season, with the benefit of hindsight, if you play Boise State and Washington State the same year, and they're the two best teams outside of the Power Five, and you can get to 6 wins, you could certainly argue progress in year one. No question about it. Under Sean Lewis, pregame coverage will begin at 5:30. Ben Fletcher, J.R. Tolver outside Snapdragon Stadium. And then, of course, play-by-play, myself and Rich Orenberger will have the call for you coming up at 7:30 here tonight. All right, we'll continue this conversation on the other side. Plus, Cynthia Freeland from the NFL Network will join us at 4. Actually, on the other side, why don't we do this? We'll give away a pair of tickets to Tuesday night's Aztecs home game at Viejas Arena. So do not go anywhere. We'll give away a pair of tickets to that game for San Diego State men's basketball on Tuesday. Coming up on the other side, we're here until 5:30 on Jon and Jim. we have Aztec basketball tickets for Tuesday night at Viejas Arena. We'll give those away within 10 minutes. MLB.com. Cynthia Furlow. Day 52 MLB.com right where free agents will land. Okay. And I'm talking about guys like Juan Soto and Blake Snell and Teoscar Hernandez and Corbin Burns, right? The Padres do appear on some of these top 3 lists. None, like, so they pulled 52 writers at MLB.com and said, where is Juan Soto going to land, right? And they say Yankees, Mets, for example. But then writers are like Nationals, Giants, Dodgers, Blue Jays all voted for Juan Soto. Nobody voted for Padres in there. But my point is this.
Okay.
Of their 52 writers, 13% of them have Max Fried landing with the Padres. That's the 3rd highest percentage for Max Fried. It's not going to happen.
What?
And then I'm trying to see if there's anyone else on this list where the Padres show up. They really don't. Okay, Teoscar Hernandez. Top 3 list.
Stop.
81% say Dodgers, 10% say Red Sox, 4% of the 52 writers say Padres. Do you read anything into that?
No.
Max Fried, Teoscar Hernandez, MLB.com writers seem to think San Diego is a possibility. What are we missing? I think it's what they're missing. They don't understand that Padres don't have money for Teoscar Hernandez. They don't have money for Max Fried, right?
Right. They have a better shot of like
winning Powerball.
I don't know. Yeah, probably. That's not happening.
Okay.
It's not happening. Sorry, John. Did I burst your bubble?
No, not really. I agree with you. It actually surprised me that they appeared on any of these top 12 free agent lists from the MLB.com writers. I thought it'd be very quiet for the Padres. Like, I thought I'd see these 12 free agents and they wouldn't be top 3 for any of the free agents.
Why they're on those lists is because of AJ Preller and how
yes,
you can never count him out.
Good
for
point.
Anything in free agency and in the trade market. But covering this team every day like we do, we just know those moves aren't happening. They just aren't. Maybe in the past, maybe if they didn't have Xander Bogaerts, but they do have Xander Bogaerts and it's 2024, not 2022.
Right. Padres got a vote on Blake Snell out of 52. Padres got a vote on Anthony Santander out of 52.
Okay.
I'm just telling you what people are
petty votes.
Maybe. Tanner Scott, Padres got a vote, not happening.
I would love Tanner Scott.
That'd be amazing. That's probably the real need win. If you could run it back to the postseason and have Tanner Scott on your team, that's a huge win.
And if it feels like in the postseason this past year, Tanner Scott was used, but it wasn't like he was used a ton. Like he went out there, shut down Ohtani. He shut down every left-handed batter he faced. He was great. But, not going and having a deep run in the postseason, we didn't get to really see him like be this amazing guy out of the bullpen. He was amazing, but it was only for a handful of games.
Yeah, 3 innings? No, 3 innings in the DS, 1 1/3 innings in the wild card, 4 1/3 innings, 5 appearances. But like you said, the appearances weren't even an inning in length on average because in 5 appearances, he threw 4 1/3 innings because of Ohtani.
Yep.
Essentially. Yep. Yeah, again, if I could, there's shiny objects out there. Everyone wants Juan Soto. Everyone would take Blake Snell. I think Tanner Scott serves a real need for a team once you get into a postseason.
Because the thing about Tanner Scott is you can sign him and you're not crippling your payroll. You sign Juan Soto, that's massive chunk. You sign, I want to say Blake Snell is going to get a long-term deal this time around.
Like 4 years.
Corbin Burns is going to get a long-term deal. Pete Alonso.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Bregman, right? Those guys are going to get long-term deals.
Do you not think Tanner Scott will get quote-unquote long-term for a reliever, like 3+ years?
I mean, like Tanner Scott's going to get a long-term deal. What I'm talking about is the AAV. I'm talking about the big chunk. Like,
what do you think he gets?
I think he gets around 70 to 80 million.
Tanner Scott.
Yeah.
So 4 years, 70 to 80 million?
Around there, yeah.
Yeah, that's still big.
It's big. It is big, but it's manageable.
For someone, it's going to be.
And with the market, what it is now with Edwin Diaz and Josh Hader, those guys getting $100+ million contracts to be closer. Tanner Scott last year was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
You look at his splits; they were awesome. He's a guy that you could plug in your bullpen right now in a contender, and it feels like, oh, that might be the missing piece. Like imagine if he was on like the Phillies, or I mean the Dodgers didn't need him because they won the World Series, but put him on the Yankees, right? That changes everything.
Yankees could have used him.
That changes everything.
Yep.
And it's worth $70 to $80 million in that stint.
The problem with a deal like that is always health. That's like Edwin Diaz signs the richest deal in reliever history in baseball,
and he gets hurt.
Now, nobody can predict that. It can happen with all players, including position players, but it's more likely to happen, obviously, with pitchers. Mm-hmm. And that's why you always run the risk of that. I liked the Joe Musgrove deal at the time. It hasn't turned out to be the greatest deal, if we're going to be honest. He's going to miss a full year. He's had ups and downs. He hasn't been fully healthy, and they gave him a reasonable deal, which was $20 million per year. I think when you get in the $20 million per year range with a reliever, you better know you're capable of winning the World Series. Mm. Like, I'm not paying a reliever $17+ million a year if I don't think I'm a real contender to win a World Series.
No, that's why I view Tanner Scott with teams like the Phillies or the Dodgers or the Yankees or like the Mets, if you want to just make the back end of your bullpen stronger with Diaz and Scott. I view him to go to a contender.
Yeah, definitely.
Not to like, the White Sox all of a sudden just ponied up $70 million.
That would be ridiculous. No, that's not going to happen. I tend to think that these 12 top free agents all land elsewhere, and that's not controversial, and that's not offensive to the Padres or Padres fans. You could still win without Soto. Look at last year. You can win without Snell. Look at last year, and so on and so forth. And Soto and Snell are the top two free agents on the market, arguably.
It's important to keep your house in order. It's important to make sure that you can figure out a way, if you really are trying to, locking up Michael King for a long-term deal, or having discussions about locking up Michael King for a long-term deal. Mm-hmm. The Profar situation and the Ha-Seong Kim situation, monitor those things very closely. But if the market says otherwise, then you have to walk away from that and go to plan B. And the top guys that you mentioned there, I don't even think they're on the Padres' radar. You know, the whole checking in thing with the Juan Soto deal with the Juan Soto is like the Rays, the Dodgers, the Giants, right? And then Eric Hosmer put out a tweet saying, look, checking in with somebody means absolutely nothing. Means nothing.
Sliding into someone's DMs doesn't mean you're going to go on a date.
And it doesn't even mean they're going to read the DM.
Right.
Like, you could see there and you can just be left on unread forever. Yeah. So the checking in means nothing. So when the Padres always check in on guys, it's probably not much to do about anything.
Right. 9 out of 10 times is nothing. And then sometimes things do develop. Obviously, it was the Pro.
But when you see like interest level and moving toward a contract or whatever, then it's like, okay, this is getting real here.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And also meetings as well. Like Steve Cohen is meeting with Juan Soto.
That's the Mets.
That's more than checking in. That's like, hey, we're going to wine and dine you, buddy.
Yeah, I agree. All right, call right now if you want 2 free tickets to see San Diego State Tuesday night at Viejas Arena. They're taking on Occidental Tuesday at 7 p.m. A game you can hear right here on San Diego Sports 760. The number to call is 877-767-4760. Caller 5. You are going to Tuesday night's game at Viejas Arena. Second game of the regular season for San Diego State men's basketball. Call right now if you want 2 free tickets to that game. 877-767-4760. That's 877-767-4760. We saw probably the best quarterback performance in a quarter this year last night. Lamar Jackson's fourth quarter, salvaging a game against Cincinnati. They came all the way back from 14 down. We'll talk to Cynthia Freeland from the NFL Network on the other side. She joins us each and every week, courtesy of Hamul, and she'll join us next.
All right, this update is brought to you by the Jim Petrell Real Estate Team. We'll start with the Padres. As earlier this morning, Kevin Acee reported that the Padres and Ruben Niebla agreed to a multi-year extension, keeping Ruben Niebla around for many years to come here in San Diego. San Diego State takes on New Mexico tonight at Snapdragon Stadium, 7:30 kickoff, 5:30 pregame right here on San Diego Sports 760. And NFL news of the day, Christian McCaffrey is officially going to make his season debut for the Niners this Sunday against the Bucks. And the Cowboys today placed Dak Prescott on IR with his hamstring injury. Would you like to know what your home would sell for today? Get a simple text message with your home's value by texting your address. It's 855-600-6000. You'll get no phone call, just a text. Jim Petrell is the buyer. Simply text your address to 855-600-6000.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? It is hour 2 of Jon and Jim. We're going until 5:30 tonight. We have Aztecs pregame then. San Diego State, New Mexico at Snapdragon at 7:30. Pregame coverage again will begin at 5:30. It's always our pleasure to welcome back our weekly guest, courtesy of Jamul Casino, Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network, back with us here in San Diego. So, Cynthia, we appreciate it. We're looking forward to this week in the NFL. I'm curious from an analytics perspective, which is what you cover, which made more sense here? I mean, the Bengals going for 2 last night, the Bucks not electing to go for 2 the other night against Kansas City. What were the pros and cons as you were watching these play out over the last week? And thanks for hopping on.
Yeah, it's good to be on. But I think that, look, I think maybe the Bucks should have considered going for it. Mm-hmm. I know Todd Bowles said that the weather and inclement, slippery conditions were what he was thinking about, but I don't know. I mean, it just kind of felt like a slower death with the overtime opportunity and, leaving it up to the chance of a coin. Right. So I don't know. I think he probably should have at least considered it a little bit longer, maybe, but I actually think that the Bengals were right to try to go for 2 as well. I mean, obviously it's a tough scenario, but Lamar Jackson and that offense was rolling. So it's not like, this was which defense is going to have just one stop more, and clearly saw that the Ravens had that one extra stop.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like an impossible decision because when you go for it and you don't make it, everyone on social media is like, you're an idiot, you should kick the field goal. And then if you do make it, everyone's like, oh my God, you're a genius. Like, it just feels like those situations, Cynthia, from like an analytic standpoint, it feels like it's more clearer, but from a judging standpoint, it feels like it's impossible.
Yeah, I mean, look, like you have to have the play in your playbook. I guess my question for the Bengals last night was, why not pull out one of those plays that worked so well with Jamar Chase and go with a thing, or maybe even go back to the beginning of the game and use like that Chase Brown play again, because they didn't have an answer for that. So I don't know if they clearly weren't finding answers for Jamar Chase all night long. So that was, that's always, to me, it's always like, well, you have to have the play that maybe you decide at a neutral brain, like right now, that you decide like, what's the play I would do in that situation? What have I got in the bag here? And, obviously we can always Monday morning quarterback it and say which one it didn't work, so it was wrong, et cetera. But, I feel like at some point I kind of would have liked to see it in Jamar Chase's hands.
Cynthia Freeland with the NFL Network back with us here on Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. The play of Lamar Jackson right now is simply incredible. But are we counting on that to continue? I mean, is that what you're relying on if you're Baltimore in the postseason when that hasn't consistently worked throughout his career?
I mean, I think you can rely on. Here's what I will say: the defense, they're addressing the issues. I know that it didn't look great. Divisional games, we always say divisional games throughout the record book, but it is kind of true. They have such familiarity with each other that there are special things that happen in those games that just kind of feel crazy otherwise. Now, I will say they brought in Dean Pease, who was their former defensive coordinator, and then he was previously with the Falcons, before that Ravens, before that the Patriots. So this is like a guy with a bunch of tenure. He understands what the Ravens' identity is, and he'll help Zach Orr out. So I'm not suggesting that they're going to solve all of their problems by bringing in an extra, advisor or whatever. I do think it will help with the structure. And, obviously good news about Kyle Hamilton, if you're a Ravens fan, that he will be back, and he avoided a serious injury. But, when you're not hearing Kyle Hamilton's name or Roquan Smith as much as we did last season, then something's up, because this defense was sort of predicated around how they operate. So I think that they'll get enough better. That's not good English, but whatever. I think that they'll get better enough that they'll be able to, that Lamar won't have to be like, in this, like, remember in Mario Brothers when you're like on a star? That's how I feel like Lamar Jackson plays football, right?
That's
like,
amazing.
He won't have to be like on the star always.
Yeah, he is playing at a level that could get him his second straight MVP. Moving to the Bengals, the team last night, that it kind of feels like that was a game that could, gets them back to 500, puts them on a right track, and people start, fearing the Bengals for, what Jamar Chase has been doing and Joe Burrow this year, but now falling to 4-6. Looking at the remaining schedule here, Cynthia, it's not like a daunting schedule, but do you still feel confident the Bengals can, right the ship here and make a run at the postseason?
The only good news that the Bengals have is that the AFC is kind of like the haves and the have-nots. There really is no like middle class. We talk about this, So I think they could make a decent run at it. I think it will really depend on, in the building, do they believe it, right? Like Joe Burrow was talking already, it's never really good when people are like, the rest of the team, when a quarterback's saying like, the rest of the team will feed off my energy, so I need to make sure my energy is positive. Like winning teams, you don't hear quarterbacks talking like that, right? So I'm a little concerned. I need their defense to play just a smidge better, like a little bit better, to be able to say that this season could be fine. But I don't know. We'll have to see if this offense can really stay. I mean, if they get T. Higgins back and he looks great, then sure, like anything is possible. They're great, but it just feels like it's not going the right direction.
Yeah, and the math gets tough. 4-6 is a good portion of your schedule for Cincinnati. Yeah, Cynthia Freeland with us right now from the NFL Network. So Sunday Night Football is a great game, as it typically is, but Texans hosting the Lions. Texans are undefeated at home. The Lions have not lost on the road. They've only lost one time this year. What are you most looking forward to? What are you excited to see in that matchup on Sunday night?
Well, I need the final injury report to come out, because there are still a few outstanding issues here that are pretty big deals. So Nico Collins is still out. He's questionable. He returned from IR, but is he going to play? I'm saying probably yes. But Will Anderson Jr., their dynamic defensive player, second-year guy, like that's a big loss that they're not playing. I understand they still have Danielle Hunter down there, but they really, like, what this defense is all about pressure. And I know that Jared Goff has been exceptional against pressure, but they're without Taylor Decker. And when you're missing a tackle, things get much harder, especially a left tackle. So, I want to know how those kind of resolve themselves. But I think the run game for both teams is really going to be who wins. So I know, so I think this is a fascinating game, and I think it will come down to the play of the trenches, which doesn't sound that exciting, but both, the Lions O-line has been great, but again, without their left tackle, and then you've got this O-line for the Houston Texans that in the beginning of the season, I was like, well, maybe their problem is that they just have all these penalties, but it also seems that the interior is willing to give up, all of the sacks too.
This is a stupid question, Cynthia, but what is the return of Christian McCaffrey do for the 49ers offense, especially in the red zone?
Yeah, the red zone has not been their friend this year. This is not a typical Kyle Shanahan offense for reasons. One, red zone efficiency is near the bottom of the league, and two, they're not a yak team. They're all an air yard team this year, which is it's a tough way to live, especially if you're missing Brandon Ayuk, and for some games Deebo Samuel as well. So Christian McCaffrey gives you so much more of an opportunity in the red area to like stay ahead of the chains. And if it's not him being in the end zone, distract enough of the defense to pull away and create more space for other people too. So, it's weird to say like the Todd Bowles defense is not good against the run this year, but the Todd Bowles defense is not good against the run this year. So it will be interesting to see how that all kind of fits together and where Jordan Mason's role is now.
So we talked about the Bengals being 4-6. It's like I have to ask about the Jets. They beat the Texans. They're 3-6. Is there any needle to be thread here? Is there a run that is possible from 3-6 for New York or not, in your estimation?
Well, they're not going to win the division. I mean, it'd be
Right.
really hard to pick
No
up
way.
3 games
Yep.
on the Bills, who are like, it's amazing to think the Bills could like start printing home playoff tickets by Thanksgiving, but it's possible. But, you know, I think that the Jets are going to do that thing that Aaron Rodgers always does, you know, his relax days or whatever, RELAX, like where they're going to beat, in my opinion, I can see them winning this weekend against the Cardinals, and I can see them having some like strange other win in the next couple of weeks that they shouldn't have gotten just based on the team being maybe better than them. But I ultimately don't think this is a championship caliber team. I think, you know, they're going to play spoiler, and that will be their role this year.
If I gave you all the Chiefs numbers, defensive metrics, offensive numbers, Patrick Mahomes numbers, and I said, all right, Cynthia, I want you to guess what this team's record is, what would you say?
I mean, it's kind of fascinating how they're winning games, but you only need one more point than your opponent. So you don't need to rout them. You know, we're used to maybe a different feeling from the Chiefs, but I feel like they're living on the edge of all of it. They need, you know, 3rd and 7, they get 8. You know, like it's not a team that's beating you up with crazy offensive numbers. Their defense is playing really well, and getting Josh Uche will help a blitz that's already like the 4th most effective in all of the metrics that we care about, pressure, sacks, etc. Like this is a team that, you know, they're playing actual complementary football, and you know, they're just not leaving any surplus on the table. You know, there's no extra runs there. They're not padding the wins at all. They're just they know you only need one.
Do you consider that? Do you consider them elite? Like, do you put them on an elite pedestal?
I do. I mean, at the end of the day, the people on that team and the way that they're built, we don't talk enough about Trent McDuffie, their corner, number 22. Look for him on the field. You'll see him everywhere. You know, we talk about Chris Jones. We talk about Patrick Mahomes, of course. We talk about Travis Kelce and his girlfriend. But we don't necessarily talk enough about how Trent McDuffie's impact in this secondary has just made things very, very difficult on opposing pass catchers. So I think they're a team where it feels like, you know, and plus this is the year where they, you know, the AFC West gets to play the NFC South, and that just that feels like a cheat code to me.
Right. Chiefs are the field to win the Super Bowl right now.
Field,
yeah. It seems like that, right? Yeah. I mean, yeah, they could absolutely do it. But I mean, what would the math suggest? I mean, even if they had a 33% chance of winning the Super Bowl, that's only a 1 I don't know what the math suggests. Maybe you do, but is it better than 33% or worse?
No. It's like it's in the 20s.
It's in the 20s.
It's not over 30 yet. Yeah. It's like 22, 23.
So the field,
yeah. And look, like the AFC is really fascinating because, you know, you could get someone in a single game sample size. I don't think any of us this morning woke up and were like, wow, you know, the Ravens defense feels like they can stop anyone. Right. You know, like on a 1 game sample size, anything could happen.
No doubt. Cynthia, we always enjoy it. We appreciate it. And we'll connect again next week. Thanks for the time. Have a good weekend.
You know, have a nice marathon session of being at work all day. Enjoy yourself.
Yes. Yes, we will do that. Yeah. We will do that. We appreciate it.
It's just 8 hours of broadcasting right for John. It's fine.
Yeah, we'll be done by midnight.
Give the people what they want.
Exactly.
Want 8 hours of you?
Yeah.
Give the people what they want.
We should do it every day.
Yeah.
What's the problem?
No.
6 a to 6 p daily, Jon and Jim. Cynthia, thank you.
Have a great one.
Have a good weekend. Cynthia Freeland from the NFL Network, brought to you by Jamul Casino. 7 restaurants, thrilling games, and a sports pub voted San Diego's best. Jamul Casino is fun above all else.
Like, don't you put that on me, Ricky Bobby. Don't you put that on me.
You know Mike Francesa, right? I don't know what you're talking about. But do you know Mike Francesa?
Do you know Ricky Bobby?
Is he a sports talk host?
How did we get a show together? How did me and you
I don't know that
get a radio show together when
honestly,
we are
it kind of
very complete polar opposites?
That's kind of the point, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's like Mike and Mike. Like, you know, I used to play in the league and you are, you know, Mike Greenberg.
But it's like when I throw something at you like that, it goes right over your head. And then you throw something at me
and you don't care.
And I don't listen and it goes right over my head.
But here's my point. Mike Francesa on WFAN in New York for probably 10 years post Mad Dog. Mm-hmm. His show was 1 p.m. until Devils hockey pregame at 6:50.
Don't get anybody any ideas around here.
Solo show 1, and I think I have that right. I think it was from 1, might have been 1:30. It was the weirdest
shift ever. Now he probably made $3.3 million, but
I would do that for $3.3 million.
He worked 1:30 to 6:50 when Devils hockey pregame would begin, or I guess maybe 7 p.m. All right, we'll get to the wrap on the other side. Paul Garrison, East Village Times, will help us preview San Diego State, New Mexico tonight. We do have Aztec tickets to give away later this hour as well for Tuesday night men's basketball at Viejas Arena. Jon and Jim. All right, no better spot to watch football. We just had Cynthia Freeland on from the NFL Network, courtesy of Hamul. You got to get to Hamul Casino this weekend. Hey, guys, it is Jon and Jim. It's a great spot throughout football season, especially Monday nights, weekends too. But Monday nights, you've got a chance to win big with some huge promotions out at Hamul.
Yeah, with 10 winners every hour at 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and 9 p.m., your odds are better than ever. Plus, earn entries all month long by playing and getting 2-time entries on Tuesdays with at least $500 in cash for all winners and a chance to win up to $25,000 in cash.
You are going to love Tony Gwynn Sports Pub. They have great food at Hamul Casino, but Tony Gwynn Sports Pub is terrific. It has everything you could possibly want. Great food and drinks. Tony Gwynn sports memorabilia, much, much more. All the TVs to watch all the games. Then they have endless dining at Hamul Casino as well. It's going on 5 nights a week, including tomorrow, this Saturday, for Saturday Surf and Turf Buffet. So make sure to get out there for that.
Yeah, Hamul Casino is the place to be. Tony Gwynn Sports Pub. We've talked about it multiple times. It is a great atmosphere. It's a great place to watch a sporting event, football game, basketball game. The food there is delicious as well. Hamul Casino, it's fun above all else.
All right, we're back. I mean, we didn't go anywhere. That's the thing with commercial breaks. You're like, we're back. We've been sitting here the whole time. San Diego State takes on New Mexico tonight, Snapdragon Stadium. Ben Fletcher, J.R. Tolver pregame, starting at 5:30. Me and Rich have the kick at 7:30. Right here on your home of the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760.
I'm good, John. I'm good.
Okay. You all right?
I'm okay.
All right.
I'm trying to get my. Here we go.
Earbuds
My
in?
earbuds are all tangled. You know when you have like it tangles and you can't get them undone? It's ridiculous.
Okay, a couple things. Can we talk behind, like business for a second for our listeners? Jim wears earbuds that go in your ear. You know, like if you have AirPods that go in ear.
Yeah, because I don't like the over.
Me and Brent do over ear, which, you know, a lot of times on a plane, you'll see people in ear or over ear. Yeah. I can do in ear, but not for 3 or 4 hours a day. Because it almost hurts my ear. Does it ever hurt your ear? Seriously.
No.
Just the actual like item being inside your ear for that much time.
Never.
No, you take them out every segment.
I do.
Okay.
It hurts my ear when I have the over the head.
Does it?
Yes. When I first started in radio, I wore the over the head headphones.
Yeah.
And
I'm fascinated.
It hurt my like head. I don't know why. I don't know how to explain it.
Interesting.
These to me.
So you don't use even the soft, they're just the plastic Apple.
It's the Apple ones. Yeah.
No, I could never do that.
I don't even kill my ears.
I used to, but I ran out of headphones because remember you used to get wired headphones or earbuds every time you get a phone.
That's right.
But then they stopped making them with wires on them. So once they all broke, now I got stuck.
All right.
Using these.
I was just curious.
Yeah,
that's great.
That's great.
It's been a really good talk.
Good talk, John.
Paul Garrison will join us in 8 minutes. We have Aztec basketball tickets to give away for Tuesday night right now, though. Let's get to this.
It's time for The Wrap, presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Well, the Aztecs surpassed 30 points tonight against New Mexico.
I think they're going to have to in order to win tonight's game. I think
I would agree with that.
I don't think they can win this game 21-17. Like they're going to have to, I think, put up some real points tonight, especially with how New Mexico's offense is. Putting up 30 kind of feels like almost like a must, right?
I think it is a must. I think it is a must.
I got it.
Put any question?
Yeah, I got it. Don't worry about it.
Jim's doing his first thing for the show.
No, I'm not. Answer the question.
You're not doing it?
No, I'm doing. Never mind.
I think they need to score 30 points. There's one game this year that New Mexico hasn't allowed 30 points, and they actually lost. It's Colorado State 17-6. They've scored 50 points, I think, 3 times already this year, and they've kind of fallen out of bed around 40 points per game. I think San Diego State will hold them under 40 points, but I think the Aztecs will need to score 30 points, to your point. No pun intended, to win. Next question.
Will Bronny be a G League All-Star?
Did you see the spike in ticket sales for
sold out?
Yeah.
It's a $200 ticket.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Why?
Ridiculous, dude.
You could have gone to see him at SC last year for $9.
Like, guys, his dad is not going to go watch Bronny play at a G League game.
He's actually, I think, on the road.
Yeah, he got more important things to think about, which is
take load management days.
Yeah, he's got more important things to think about, which is I don't know, making sure the Lakers don't suck, right? Which right now they kind of do.
Do you know where they play, the South Bay Lakers? Do you have any idea?
No. Oh, South Bay Lakers, like their home
court. Do you know where it is?
No.
It is the UCLA Health Training Center in El Segundo.
Okay.
What does that seat? 800 people? No way it's more than that. The UCLA Health Training Center in El Segundo?
Look it up, right?
Must be like a little high school thing. I'm sure it's a great training facility. I'm sure they have everything they need. There's no way it's a 6,000 seat amphitheater. Who's going? I mean, I don't think they've been there for forever. It's not like the South Bay Lakers are some iconic franchise. Right?
Well, now they are going to be with Bronny.
True. And people are interested. But I wonder how many seats, honestly. I need to get more information on this. I'm very curious about this.
It's frustrating that, you know, you have Bronny James with any other name. And say he's not.
Oh, you're saying if his name was John Schaefer?
Right. Say his name is John Schaefer and he's not LeBron's kid.
Arena capacity, 750 fans.
Oh my God.
That's probably why it's $200.
Probably
700 people. Jeez. It's tiny.
You get more of that at the new Front Wave Arena here in San Diego.
Way more. That's 6,000 or 7,000, I think.
I think
it's like 6,000 or 7,000.
We got to get there.
But it's intimate.
Yeah, we will. We'll see that. Look at this. Look at this.
That looks like
it's on one. There's seats on one side.
That's like my high school arena.
My high school's better than that.
Yeah. Well.
All right. Next question.
Will Christian McCaffrey score a touchdown this weekend for the 49ers?
Yeah.
I hope so.
It's kind of his MO, right?
Oh, I hope
he
so.
plays, he scores.
I'm going to be holding my breath every single touch that he gets. Even without it hit a touch, I'm going to be holding my breath.
I think this was part of the plan. They're going to wait till this part of the season. He's going to get less.
This was not part of the plan.
Okay.
Part of the plan was him to start the season like playing actual football games. I don't think this was part of the plan to have him miss the first 10 weeks of the year.
I thought it was like to limit touches, truthfully, to keep him healthy when they're going to need him the most.
No. This was we think he can play, and then
yeah, whoa.
Like this is kind of a bad thing. Let's calm this down and take our time with it.
Right. So you're nervous that he's not where he needs to be.
Well, he didn't play any preseason. He's had 2 weeks of practice.
It's November.
And it's
he hasn't played
November.
Since last year. That's crazy.
And he's dealing with a calf that feels like at any moment could rupture into a ruptured Achilles.
Other than that,
Miss Lincoln, how was the play? Not great.
Next question.
Who wins the Texans-Lions Sunday night football game?
Yeah, Cynthia Freeland said it'd be very nice if Nico Collins were to start in this game.
Yeah.
Because he's on my fantasy team. It'd be great because I have Christian McCaffrey and Nico Collins. No one cares. This to me is, I'm not going to say preview of anything because I don't think the Texans are going to go anywhere, but it's still 2 really good teams, and the Lions are kind of ascending to that elite top tier level where you're like, what the Lions? But they're a really good team. They have a really good offense. I would say just from the eye test, they have the best offense in the league, and it's going to be fun and interesting to watch. I'll take the Lions in this one to continue to go to 8-1.
I will take the Texans' desperate team theory. They lost to the Jets on Thursday Night Football. They've had 10 days off. They're the team that needs it more at this time. They're at home. They're undefeated at home. I will take the Texans. Paul Garrison will join us on the other side. Speaking of must-win games, San Diego State tonight against New Mexico. We'll preview with Paul next. All right, what if you could be debt-free by this January? Get rid of all that high-interest debt, pay off all your credit cards, consolidate everything into one lower payment. Hey, guys, it is Schaefer. If you're ready to stop stressing over bills, you need to call Loan Pronto right now. With rates at their lowest in 2 years, this is the perfect chance to use your home's equity and save big going into the new year. Loan Pronto has rates with APRs in the low 5s, and they're getting homeowners hundreds of thousands out of their home's equity. Homeowners who do this save on average $850 a month, tons of money. Loan Pronto offers a ton of options, including total refis or their express equity lines of credit. So call now, get a rate quote in just minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call today. You won't make a house payment until 2025. LoanPronto.com or 619-207-4336. LoanPronto.com or free rate quotes at 619-207-4336. 4336. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. On approved credit. NMLS consumeraccess.org.
All right, this update is brought to you by the Jim Petrell Real Estate Team. We'll start with the Padres. Ruben Niebla and the Padres are finalizing a contract to keep Ruben Niebla in town for the long haul as their pitching coach. Moving over to San Diego State, they take on New Mexico tonight at Snapdragon Stadium. 7:30 kickoff, 5:30 pregame right here on San Diego Sports 760. And NFL news of the day. Cowboys are placing Dak on the IR with a hamstring injury, and Christian McCaffrey will officially make his season debut for the Niners this Sunday. Would you like to know what your home would sell for today? Get a simple text message with your home's value by texting your address to 855-600-6000. You'll get no phone call, just a text. Jim Petrell is the buyer. Simply text your address to 855-600-6000.
Guys, San Diego Sports 760 is a full slate of football for you this weekend, starting tomorrow. Michigan, Indiana, big game. Michigan, Indiana at noon. Sunday, it's an NFL doubleheader. Niners, Bucks at 9:30 a.m. At 1:25 p.m. We have Cowboys, Eagles right here on San Diego Sports 760. Tonight, San Diego State football at 7:30. Official pregame coverage gets underway at 5:30, but we're talking about the game right now. Paul Garrison does a phenomenal job covering San Diego State athletics for the East Village Times. He's been with us a number of times over the years. He's back with us right now on Jon and Jim, and I read what you wrote all about tonight. You would think that at this point in the season, maybe San Diego State already would have been in a shootout, because back in the day with Sean Lewis at Kent State, there were a lot of shootout, quote-unquote, type games. It hasn't necessarily been the case with San Diego State as of yet. Is tonight, in your opinion, that night at Snapdragon Stadium?
I think it's going to have to be for them to win. I think ultimately, the defense has had some issues in the last couple of weeks that are going to be able to kind of learn from and be able to see the secondary have a kind of hard time with double moves, things of that nature. And so I think the Aztecs
do you view, and we had this discussion earlier on the show, getting to 6-6, getting to that bowl game would be great for your first season as head coach for Sean Lewis. How important, though, do you think it is for the fan base and the future of the program with Sean Lewis here? So, like in your first year, you can say, hey, we did this.
I think it's huge. I think there's for the perception of it alone, but I think one of there's a risk with hiring John Lewis and departing from what Brady Hope, and then Rocky Long, and then Brady Hope built, and that style of play in a defensive first system, and the danger is that if you depart from it, you may not be able to be as good. And the Aztecs, with a couple of exceptions, they were kind of around fighting for a bowl, things like that under Hoke, especially 2 years ago. And if Sean Lewis is able to lead the Aztecs in the first year with all of the turnover, I think like the worst case scenario, which is that by playing a different style, it's just not going to work at SDSU. I think you lose that. I don't think you can argue that anymore. And so I don't think you can question how important it is. And then, I think no matter what takes place this year, as we've also, talked about this year, Sean Lewis is going to this is his first year. Let's see what he does. But next year, there's going to be expectations. And to be able to build off of a bowl season, to be able to have the extra practices leading up to the bowl, be able to get some of these young guys more time, which is usually what that bowl season is able to produce. I think it's invaluable as they go into next year, as they're trying to build momentum. And I think, as you guys were saying, man, it's huge.
Paul Garrison, East Village Times, with us on Jon and Jim. I mean, if you've been paying attention to the Mountain West, you've been paying attention to what Devin Dampier, the quarterback for New Mexico, has been doing. I mean, they're scoring an absurd clip. I wasn't necessarily expecting that. I didn't know that year one under Bronco Mendenhall, who's kind of made his career on the defensive side of the football, would have this type of offensive output. And when you see all these points, it's very surprising that they're 3-6 because they're scoring as well as basically, the top 10 teams in the country. How good is Devin Dampier?
I mean, he's sensational. I mean, he's one of those guys who likely does not have a professional career at quarterback. He's probably one of those guys that maybe just goes forward They're looking at maybe trying to switch positions and see if his speed can play elsewhere, things of that nature. But, what makes college football great is that you can get guys like Devin Dampier, and he can just be as good as there is. And he's fun. I think one of the interesting parts about, at least from my perspective in covering it, is, there's so much copycat around college football that when you get these really unique athletes who just make the game different, they're really fun to watch. And so, don't be surprised if you see him, on the outside scrambling and randomly pitching to one of his wide receivers out of nowhere or faking. And, the Aztecs really have a handful being able to control him. And I think kind of the way that he does things is a little bit different than Mateer from Washington State. But at the same time, San Diego State was able to control him from Washington State and be able to kind of limit him to his lowest output. And I think if there's hope that they don't need a shootout, it's that they learn the lessons and they're able to kind of make Dampier a pocket passer.
One thing about Danny O'Neal's start of his season was he wasn't making any turnovers. He had a 6 touchdown. He threw six touchdowns, only 1 interception. But his last couple games here, Washington State, Boise State, he's turned the ball over. And going forward, how do you think he's going to respond to that? And how do you view these turnovers that he's made the last couple of weeks?
So both questions. I mean, his reputation as somebody who is able to bounce back from adversity, face adversity, and continue to work has been the most consistent message about him. And I know through conversations, that I have with him, where I've heard him on your guys' show, his maturity as such a young kid is really impressive, right? I mean, we're talking about a guy who left high school 6 months early and still hasn't been out of high school for a year. And he's a Division I quarterback doing these things. I think the flip side of that is the second part of your question is that they have opened up the offense the last 2 weeks more than they had the entire year. Prior to that, it was Marquez Cooper and then Danny O'Neal sprinkled in. And they opened up the offense a little bit because I think playing these better teams, they needed to score in order to win. I mean, Washington State, I was texting John during the game, which was very nice of him to respond while he's doing a broadcast. And I just said, San Diego State went up 12, and I texted him and said, man, they're going to need
one more score
to win.
Yeah.
And so they tried to do that, and he threw that big interception against Washington State. So I think that as he's gotten more responsibility, he hasn't responded, and he's looked like a freshman in those moments. I think the saving grace for that is New Mexico's defense has been really bad, and if this offense can't get going against the Lobos, they are much further away from getting where they need to be than probably where they should be, going into the end of the year.
What do you make? Like, I remember going into the Boise State game last week, and I think I told, maybe we might have talked about it on air with Jim, or I said to Rich, I said, if they play really well, they've shown signs of progress here as the season has gone on, and that would be encouraging. But even if they don't, I feel like it's kind of a one-off type game. You're taking on arguably one of the best teams in America on the road, Friday night, blue turf. Like, there's so many factors that go into that game. Obviously, it was one-sided early. I think that maybe they showed something to themselves with the way they quote unquote finished by getting some points there late in the fourth quarter. What do you make of last Friday night? Is there anything to take away from it, or how do you look at it?
Again, I do think that in some regards it is a one-off night. I mean, that was the question that I asked to Coach Lewis, at the end of the game. Like, it was in the post game, what was the gap between SDSU and Boise State as big as it looked?
Right.
And he said no, and he said it wasn't. But it was challenging to be able to grab a whole bunch of good things for San Diego State. I mean, those late touchdowns, absolutely, you feel good about that, but they also came against the reserves. And, Boise State had kind of called off the dog, so to speak, and even with a backup quarterback, moved the football against San Diego State's first team defense, and so I just don't know that you can have a lot of encouraging things outside of Tyler Pastula and his 79-yard punt, and being like I think he won a national award for that performance, but I just think that it is ultimately, I think the idea of that game is to remind everyone that San Diego State has been tied to the hip with Boise State in football since they both tried to join the Big East. And Boise State is really good. They look like the 12th ranked team in the country. And that ultimately is the team that San Diego State is going to have to get over to be able to, compete to be in a playoff and to win conference titles, both in the Mountain West, next year, and then also going into the future in the Pac-12. So I think if anything, it was just the Broncos saying, look, we are the team to beat, and San Diego State is chasing them, and that's the work that they have cut out for them.
Paul, always appreciated. We will see you out there tonight. San Diego State and New Mexico, basically a must-win for both of these teams if they want to be considered for bowl eligibility in 2024. Paul, always appreciate your time. Thanks for doing it today.
Thanks, guys. Good talking to you.
Great talking to you. Paul Garrison from the East Village Times. All right, if you want tickets for Tuesday night San Diego State men's basketball game at Viejas Arena, we have 2 free tickets. First 2 callers will be contestants for trivia. You need to call right now if you want a chance to win 2 free tickets for San Diego State Tuesday night at Viejas Arena at 7 p.m. The number to call, 877-767-4760. Call right now. First 2 callers will be our contestants for San Diego State. 2 free tickets for Tuesday night, 877-767-4760. Again, the number, call right now, 877-767-4760. We're playing for 2 free San Diego State men's basketball tickets next.
All right, before we get to Trainwreck Radio, and I'm leaving by the way, 15 minutes.
Oh, must be nice.
I'm going to the football game tonight.
I didn't look into it by 4:30.
No, it doesn't, but I'm on at 6:30, and by the time I get there and I get to get pronunciation and talk to New Mexico people and do my thing, I eat a salad.
Mostly eat salad.
Well, like the other day, I was on Jon Jim, and I did pregame, and I almost died. Now, that's not fair because we have people listening to us that actually work real jobs.
Yeah, you always tell me that. I'm like, man, today was a tough day. You're
but
like,
I couldn't
hey, idiot.
eat. I couldn't eat. That was the problem.
Poor baby.
It was tough.
You could have literally had someone go get you a snack during halftime.
Yeah, maybe.
Or like you could have gotten food, right? Think about this. Right?
And eating it?
You get food, all right, and you have it next to you, and say there's a timeout.
I don't like eating quickly during a broadcast.
Understandable.
Do you understand?
I understand, yeah.
All right, real quick, okay? Before we get to Trainwreck, listen to this. Like, this is a story that you're not getting in everyday life, probably. Actually, you do get this in everyday life.
Okay.
This is being reported by actual reporters. New. Flight that appears to be Auburn men's basketball team heading to Houston diverted back to Auburn, Alabama this afternoon. Air traffic control audio we've obtained shows a pilot in the airspace telling ATC we have a bunch of basketball players fighting. We've reached out to Auburn University and Auburn police for confirmation or comment. There are multiple reporters reporting Auburn's plane was diverted this afternoon because players on the team had an altercation in the air. Never a great idea.
What?
Like, what? Guys, the season started like a day ago. How could your team get into a physical altercation in the air that reroutes a plane? That is bad.
I'm going to go out on a limb right now and say that Auburn will not have a good season.
Remember last year? I was in Spokane.
This is going to bring them closer together.
They got upset by Yale, and Chad Baker-Mazara was ejected from that game a minute in. Remember that?
And that was a huge loss to them because
huge. He was like their second or third leading scorer.
Yeah.
And scored like 15 points a game.
We were all getting ready for a San Diego State Auburn matchup.
Crazy. It was crazy. He's still on the team.
Is he really?
He's still on the team.
Do we know who the players were that were fighting on the plane?
There's some additional reporting. I don't know.
I need it to be Chad Baker-Mazara.
If you type into Twitter search right now, and again, this isn't reporting.
I'm sure there's like probably videos of it somewhere.
Connor Noonan, CBB. Now he's only got 471 followers, but he says credentialed college basketball reporter since 2022.
Okay.
Listen to this. Source, soon after the Auburn men's, and I don't know if this is accurate, but I'm going to read it. Is that fair?
Okay. Sure, go.
Soon after the Auburn men's basketball team's flight took off, a physical altercation took place between Chad Baker-Mazara and the Cardwell brothers.
I was right.
Drake and Dylan. The three players had to be restrained as the flight landed back in Auburn.
Dude, what? So I was right. It was Chad Baker.
If this is accurate. I don't know if it's accurate. Yeah.
But
who is this guy? I have no idea.
Man, dude, can we
it's like November, guys.
You punched a kid on Yale and got yourself ejected. And then this? Like,
if this is accurate.
If it's accurate.
Not ideal.
That's the one thing about San Diego State basketball, which is great, is that you never hear any type of drama like this because Dutch and the coaching staff are so good with everything involving this program that you never hear of altercations or anything.
Did you watch the pregame video last night? Mesa tweeted it out. It was a recap. Of the game, and it showed Dutch in the locker room. But it's funny you say that because Dutch said something really interesting to the group. He's like, if you came here for something other than playing defense and rebounding, you came to the wrong bleeping program. Like, they know who they are, is the point.
Yeah.
Like, there's a way in which you win. It's as a team, and it's on the defensive side of the ball. But I found that to be really fascinating.
He has gained the utmost respect from every single player.
Like, because he's true to who they are.
Incoming player and current player, because they're true to who they are.
Yep.
And his resume is damn good. He's just a guy that I feel like, when you walk in the room, you know where Dutch is at. Like, oh, he's over there. Okay. And you feel it's just like, all right, that guy, he commands the room and he has everybody's respect, which is great.
Let's get to it.
All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline. Today's 2 contestants, we have Thomas and we have Chris. Thomas, you called in first. We have your choice of Jon or Jim. Who do you want to go with?
I'll go with Jon.
All right, Thomas and Jon.
All right, Thomas, Chris, you get Jim, okay?
All right.
Brent, what's the question of the day?
Stone said it best. You can't always get what you want. Yeah. All right, guys. Currently in the NFL, there are 6 players with 6 or more receiving touchdowns this year. Today's question, name any of those 6 players in the NFL with 6 or more receiving touchdowns this season.
Okay. All right. Chris, you're up first. What's your first guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
You got to go Chase.
Chase,
okay. Jamar Chase.
Yeah. He had a good game last night.
Yeah, like 10 touchdowns. So what did he do? It was like a million fantasy points.
11 receptions, over 280 yards, and I think 3 touchdowns.
That's a good game.
And by the way, all those numbers, none of them were career highs.
Is that right? Yeah. Man, he's so good.
That's correct. That knows you're really good when you have those numbers. They're not career highs. Thomas, up to back to you. First guess. What do you got, or you want to use your lifeline?
Oh, man, this is a horrible guess. CeeDee Lamb. I don't think Dak's throwing any. I don't even think he's thrown 6 touchdowns.
CeeDee Lamb?
Lamb, no.
No, I knew it. No,
it's all right. It's
okay.
It's only round 1. We have 3 rounds.
Chris, back to you. What's your second guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
Oh, we got to go St. Brown with the Lions.
St. Brown with the Lions.
St. Brown with the Lions on the list.
Amin Ra. There we go. Thomas, you're going to need this to stay in the game. What is your second guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
What about Ayuk?
Brandon Ayuk. Small game.
Considering he tore his ACL 2 weeks ago, might be an issue. He actually has the same amount of touchdown catches as me and you this year.
So he has 4?
He has 0.
Oh, he has 0.
He will end the season with 0 touchdown.
That's nice year. It's a really nice year.
Yeah, and he got a big time contract for his ACL
to do nothing.
To do nothing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
Well, who else is on this list? So we said Jamar Chase. Who else did we say?
Justin Jefferson?
No.
Oh, what? Hold on. Let me
Any tight ends?
Mike Evans?
Yes.
Oh. George Kittle.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, George Kittle.
George Kittle is on the list.
Mike Evans?
Yes. He's
That's a good one. What about Chris Godwin? I know he's hurt, but he had some big games.
No, he's 7th.
Idiot.
He's 7th. I'm such an idiot.
Yeah, you stupid. You don't know football.
He only has 5.
Yeah, it was 5 touchdowns, you moron.
What are the names, Brent?
All right. Jamar Chase has 10. He leads the league.
Must be nice.
Then Mike Evans, then Kittle, Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
Then St. Brown and Drake London.
Drake London really is my boy. We've spent a lot of time together. All right, congratulations to our winner, because you have won a pair of tickets to see San Diego State and Occidental Tuesday at 7 p.m. at Viejas Arena. Tickets are available at goaztecs.com. That's San Diego State men's basketball, game 2 of the regular season against Occidental. Tuesday at 7 p.m. Tickets are available at goaztecs.com. Much more on the Padres solidifying their coaching staff for not just 2025, but beyond. Ruben Niebla under contract for multiple years. What will it mean? We're here until 5:30. That's when our pregame coverage will begin. San Diego State, New Mexico will kick off at 7:30 right here on San Diego Sports 760.
Bye, John. This update is brought to you by the Jim Petrell Real Estate Team. We'll start with the Padres. This morning, Kevin Acee reported that Ruben Niebla has finalized a multi-year deal to stay with the Padres as their pitching coach for many years to come. San Diego State takes on New Mexico tonight at Snapdragon Stadium, 7:30 kickoff, 5:30 pregame right here on San Diego Sports 760. And NFL news of the day, Cowboys replacing Dak Prescott on IR with a hamstring injury, and Christian McCaffrey will officially make his season debut for the Niners this Sunday against the Bucs. Would you like to know what your home would sell for today? Get a simple text message with your home's value by texting your address to 855-600-6000. You'll get no phone call, just a text. Jim Petrell has the buyer. Simply text your address to 855-600-6000 today. All right, final hour of Jon and Jim. Jon is on his way to Snapdragon Stadium for a 7:30 kickoff. At 5 p.m. he's leaving. There is no way, Brent, that he has.
But he has his first hit in like 90 minutes. And he has to eat a salad.
Yeah.
And
he has to get ready for his first hit in 90 minutes.
I know he has to do pest of the game at like 6:45.
I know what Jon is doing, and he might be listening right now, probably not, but he is using the game, and I'm whatever, it's fine. He's using the game as an excuse to get out a little bit early. Like, oh man, dude, I got to get down and get prepared for the game at 7:30. The game, and then your first hits at 6:30.
And is one thing when he would do this for basketball, because if you get traffic, it might take a little bit. Dude, we're right down the street.
We are right down the street. You can go in the back way if you want it. If there's traffic on the freeway.
Exactly.
Like, you can go multiple directions. I'm just giving Jon crap right now. It's fine. It's all right. It's not like I have to, me and Brent have to carry on for the next 4 hours or anything like that. So,
I have to carry on until like 12:30. You get to leave in 25 minutes.
That is true. Sucks to be you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Anyway, pregame with Fletch and J.R. Tolver start at 5:30. Kickoff is at 7:30 right here on San Diego Sports 760. So obviously the big news of the day, Ruben Niebla has re-signed or got a new contract with the Padres for a multi-year deal. And this was a thing that I had no worries about. None. I didn't sit there thinking to myself, oh my gosh, Ruben Niebla, there's a possibility that he could be gone. There's a possibility that they're not going to re-sign Ruben Niebla. I was of the mindset and of the thinking that it was a matter of when, not if. And today they got it done. Now, we don't know the exact terms of the deal. Kevin said it's a multi-year deal. I would assume, Brent, that it lines up with Mike Shildt. 3 years, maybe even 4 years. I don't know, because you don't have to have everybody be on the same timeline. Hell, right now, Shildt and Preller, they're on the same timeline. Shildt got a 3-year or 2-year contract extension until 2027. AJ Preller is signed through 2026. So they're not on the same, deal length. Now, I kind of tend to be on Jon's side on this one, is they're going to be tied together. There's no way if one goes, the other doesn't go. That's kind of how I view it. So they're going to be together, I think, past the 2026 season, which is Preller's final year under contract, through 2027, and hopefully for longer. Like, hopefully here in San Diego, you can have a core group of not just players, which they do, but the coaching staff and a manager that stays with the team and has success with the team for longer than just, I don't know, one season. Like, can you have a cohesive, coherent coaching staff throughout the next 5, 6, 7 years through the contracts of Manny, Bogarts, Tatis, and so forth? I think they can. I think they're heading that way. Now, we've seen it go the other way very quickly around here, but I feel confident right now. I'm not like 100% confident, but I feel confident right now that Ruben Niebla, Victor Rodriguez, who hasn't been really talked about, but he's under contract, so he wasn't looking for a new deal. Mike Schilt and the rest of the coaching staff, maybe some tweaks here and there, but everybody's staying the same. And I think that's all good news for the Padres. I think that's all good news for the fans. I think that's good news for this pitching staff, especially because Ruben Niebla has been kind of dubbed the pitching guru around here, and he's done a lot of great things. He has, I think whenever you talk to a pitcher on this staff and you ask them if they're struggling, what helped you get out of that struggle, I think one of the first things they would say is Ruben Niebla. And you just know how highly they coveted Ruben Niebla with him being the very first signing, very first coach brought onto the staff before they hired Bob Melvin back in 2022. And going forward, I hope that you see Ruben Niebla stick around for a long, long time. He's done nothing but good things with his pitching staff. His pitching staff wasn't awful before him, but the Larry Rothschild days, those were interesting. those were interesting for sure. You needed someone that was going to be more stable, a guy that was, I think, up to the times of analytics and the way things are going. So Ruben Niebla, I think, fits that mold of blending the old with a lot of the new, and it's just great that he's resigned and that he's going to be here long term, and it's a great thing for this pitching staff as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't really want to picture the pitching staff without him,
right?
Especially considering, like you said, he's the pitching whisperer, and the Padres have such confidence in him that if you look at like Dylan Cease when they traded for him, the rest of the league, they were like done with this guy. They're like, we
had a bad year in 2023, and they were like, is that
he's washed, and but the Padres have so much faith in him that they can just go, look, work with him, you can fix him.
Yeah, like remember when
everyone else has given up on him. We think he still has something left in the tank, and do your thing. Find out what you think is wrong with him, and what's the line? Fix him.
Right. And what happened with Josh Hader when he was here, when he came over? He was awful. And then he turned around, had an amazing September, and was unhittable in the postseason. Guys like Blake Snell, Joe Musgrove, Michael King, especially. Like without Ruben Niebla, the staff is just not as good. It just isn't. I know he doesn't throw a single pitch for the team, not a single pitch. But he's a guy that everybody looks towards on that pitching staff, and he's a guy that is somebody who can help anybody out in whatever issues they're dealing with, mechanically or whatever, in the head, whatever. Ruben Niebla has been the guy that this pitching staff has looked towards, and more often than not, the pitcher always comes out better on the other side.
And I feel like he actually does. How many times does a team send a pitching coach out there, and it's just like, dude, they're totally just stalling for time so they can get their arms warm in the bullpen. He's not out there doing anything other than just going, all right, we're just going to stand here and talk until they tell us to go back in the dugout because we need, we're just stalling for time. To where when he goes out there, he's actually, hey, you're twisting your back wrong on your rotation. He's actually out there, I guess teaching, I guess you could say, and correcting, opposed to just going out there and, I'm just going to stand here until, it's time to pull you out. And then the, Skip will come out here and do it.
I like in the chat right now. John is soft. Missing 1 meal won't kill you. Yeah, dude, he's going to eat a salad.
It might with his fake vegan diet.
I know, but he needs a salad. Very frail. He needs to go talk to some people. He needs to get, and I get it. You don't want to rush. You don't want to, do the rest of this show, have to rush over to Snapdragon Stadium, get all set, get all ready to go, find some food. I mean, I get it. But you're still soft. So Ruben Niebla, boom, locked up. Mike Schilt, boom, locked up. Those are the two first things on my list that I was looking at as saying, all right, they can get this done. No, it's not going to be easy, but both sides are working together to get this done. That can get handled pretty quickly. And it did. Now, with Ruben Niebla back under a multi-year deal, and the resources that they have to go out in free agency, not being a lot, don't really know what the payroll is going to be. What free agent pitcher or trades can they go out and get a guy that probably is going to have to be somebody that Ruben Niebla, quote unquote, fixes. Like, that's how I kind of am viewing this right now. They can't go out and they can't get Corbin Burns. They can't get Blake Snell, Max Fried, Nathan Eovaldi. Those are the top guys on the list, right? Can you go out and get a middle tier to a close to bottom tier guy that has some promise, maybe had a good season or two previously, but kind of maybe fell off a cliff a little bit and need some help and re-energizing their career? Can they go out and find those guys, bring them in, and turn them into some very serviceable starters on this roster that they kind of desperately need, with the rotation, with 3 guys at the top and then a bunch of question marks? You're going to need way more than what they have right now. You can go into a season with what they have, but that's not ideal. So with Ruben back, can you identify a diamond in the rough? Can you identify a pitcher and have Ruben Niebla go out and fix him? That's going to be the question mark now going into the hot stove and free agency, because you're going to need to fill so many spots on this team with not a lot of money, presumably. That's the hard part that AJ Preller has to deal with right now.
He's almost going to have to kind of, in a way, find the Jerkson Profar of pitching, to where
1 year, $1 million deal.
Yeah,
oh my God, this guy won 13 games for us.
Exactly. Just go out there and find, some guy that's not a bad player, that's just maybe looking to prove himself, and just give him that 1 year contract, and see if we can just get some guy that you signed him for practically nothing, and then he just exceeded everyone's expectations.
Because when you look at their system, there's not a lot left in their system. No. There's nobody that I see, and maybe David J. Matt Friars would tell me otherwise, or John Conniff. There's really nobody in the system that I can identify as being a ready to go from day one person to put in their rotation. They just don't have that. They have 2 top guys. That's Leo DeVries, Ethan Salas, and a lot of question marks in their system. Now, AJ Preller, that's his job going forward, is to rebuild the farm system with a lot of arms, a lot of talent. But that takes time. And he's done that before. I don't have any worry in the world about AJ Preller rebuilding a farm system. The worry I have is, can you back up a really great season at the big league level with another really great season at the big league level and go to back-to-back postseasons, for the first time since 05-06? Can you do that? And with not a lot of help in the minors, that's where it gets really tricky. It's like, okay, we're either going to have to trade for a starting pitcher, and, trading for starting pitchers usually cost you a lot, and we don't have a lot to trade. So we'd have to look at the market and look at a guy who, A, doesn't cost a lot, B, a guy that may have had a down year and not, needs some help to resurrect his career a little bit. And where are you going to find those pieces with not a lot to trade away? That's going to be the question here. And if you want to go sign a pitcher as well, that's going to be difficult as well, because I feel like the pitching market, a guy like Sean Manaea is a free agent. He ain't going to be cheap. He's going to literally, Brent, cost like 15 to 20 million a year. Like,
do we want to watch that movie again?
We don't, but I'm just like giving you an example of a guy who you'd say, "Oh, go and get that guy." Okay, 15 to 20 million dollars, that ain't happening. It's just not. So the creative offseason has begun for the Padres and AJ Preller now that Ruben Niebla has been locked up. Mike Schilt has been locked up. All right, coming up next, my back page. Also, 5:30, our Aztec pregame show, 7:30 kickoff. Stay right here on Jon and Jim.
All right, back here, Jon and Jim, final time for the week. 5:30, pregame starts right here. Aztecs in New Mexico, 7:30 kickoff. Jon is eating salad right now. Maybe he's not even. It takes literally 5 seconds.
He's probably sitting on.
All right, so a couple minutes left in the show today. Brent, let's get to it. Oh yeah, you forgot. We're doing back page right now. Sorry, a little thrown off of the timing there. Give him a second. There we go. You know, Jon makes a good point. Listening to that, it makes no sense. It literally makes 0 sense. Bring the lineman. What does he say? The lineman.
Blame the lineman.
Blame the turf.
Blame everyone else.
And then I'm like, McDonald's just released a new cheeseburger. Like, we got to update that.
That was McDonald's statement when they killed everybody by giving them gross onions.
Yeah, that was a problem. The E. coli at McDonald's.
Yeah, I told everyone
You
for
were
years.
right. You're like, don't do
onions
it.
Are gross. They're practically poison. There you go.
I like onions. I like the smell of onions, but it's bad if you don't cook them. And if you have moldy onions, that's not good. That's a bad thing. Speaking of fast food, Taco Bell, Jon, Brent, they're releasing a new sweet item on their menu. These look freaking delicious. Taco Bell is releasing new Dulce de Leche Cinnabon bites. These bite-sized delights, which will hit menus nationwide by the end of the year, promise to bring a delicious blend of flavors to Taco Bell dessert offerings. Each Dulce de Leche bite is filled with Dulce de Leche cream, a rich caramel sauce, wrapped in a warm, soft pastry dusted with cinnamon sugar. Sign me up.
We know what you're doing, Taco Bell. We pay too much attention.
They're trying to become something.
No.
That they're not.
They've already had Cinnabon mini bites at Taco Bell before, and then they got rid of them. Taco Bell's new thing now is, hey, you like something on the menu? Well, we're going to get rid of it. And then 6 months later, we're going to go, hey, guess what? We came up with this big new idea. I used to love the spicy chicken burrito. They got rid of it. 6 months later, it's back, but now it's called the chicken enchilada burrito.
Yeah, you just changed the name of it. It's brand new.
They used to always have the apple empanadas. Then they got rid of them. Now, because of the decades menu thing, guess what's back? Apple empanadas.
Yeah.
So they're not actually coming up with anything new. They're just bringing up old stuff that they got rid of.
Like the McRib every year.
Yes.
They're like, oh, we're getting rid of the McRib.
Not even every year. It's like every 6 months.
We're
it's
bringing the McRib back.
It's like, you probably don't remember this. When I was a kid, they used to always have when Disney would have Snow White is out on VHS. We're pulling it out of the Disney vaults, they would say, for a limited time only. So then people would think, oh, I'm never going to be able to buy Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs on VHS. And then 7 months later, be like, we're pulling it back out of the vaults, suckers. And
yeah. TheRealist.com. It's a sports, I guess it's like a sports auctioning site.
Yeah.
So right now, they have what's called their Tony Gwynn memorabilia auction going on. And these are some items that will be closing this weekend. So these are some at AleSmith Brewing, they had the Tony Gwynn memorabilia Hall of Fame I guess room there.
Okay.
And I don't know the whole story, but I know that is not open anymore. And I think the family has put some items up for auction. And here are some items. So if you want Tony Gwynn's actual 1997 Silver Slugger Award, the actual award, you can bid on it. You have 1 day and 23 hours left. So essentially by the end of the weekend. Right now, the current bid is $3,750. Not the worst in the world.
No, it's an
Not
actual award.
Yeah, like the actual 1997 Silver Slugger Award, which is pretty cool.
It's probably really made of silver. It's not just in the name. So
if you want the baseball, the all-time RBI record ball from July 27th, 1993, looks like it's signed by Tony here. The current bid is only $271. Not bad.
Blame Ohtani. You ruined the value on balls.
The 3000 Hit Club all-time greats autographed baseball collection, $950. The final hit game used jersey with the Tony Gwynn patch on it from October 6, 2001. The current bid for that is $4,950.
I just say that's the coolest thing so far, and that's why it costs that much.
If you want his game issued cleats from Tony's 3000 hit game on August 6th, 1999, right now, only $346.
Wow, I thought that'd be more.
His 1977 San Diego Padres jersey that was passed from Whitey Whittleman to Tony Gwynn, $421. If you want the 1999 All-Star Game jersey with the Boston All-Star Game 1999 patch on it that he wore, $1,200. Let's see here. Another one. A game use alternate home jersey with the inscription hit number 2,997 from August 4th, 1999 versus the St. Louis Cardinals, $3,000.
Are you going to buy something with all the money you're saving doing bagged lunches?
No, but some of this stuff is really cool. I'm like, okay, like, let's see, like hats that was signed by Tony. You have watches that Tony wore, pictures.
Any Aztec stuff?
I don't see anything right now.
That would be cool if they had like an Aztec basketball jersey or something like that.
Yeah, they were auctioning one off at the Mason Foundation event this year. Not the key event. Basketball team, they have actual baseball.
Oh, you must forget that, like, he's still the school's all-time, like, assist leader.
Yeah, literally every. So yeah, the things that I just mentioned are probably the highest price things, and most sought after things as well. All right, coming up next, Aztec pregame show. San Diego State takes on New Mexico. Fletch and JR will take it to kick off. Stay right here on San Diego Sports 760.